Have you ever felt like God just wasn't listening? Like your prayers were hitting a brick wall? Maybe you've poured out your heart, begged on your knees, and still ... nothing. The silence is deafening, isn't it? I know that feeling. That gut-wrenching moment when you realize God's answer might be no. It's enough to make you question everything you've ever believed. But what if I told you that sometimes God's no isn't really a no at all? What if it's actually a not yet? Today, we're going to dive deep into the mystery of unanswered prayers. We'll explore why God's timing often feels so different from our own, and how His silence might actually be the loudest answer of all. I want you to imagine for a moment that you're standing at a crossroads. The path you want to take looks perfect. It's everything you've ever dreamed of. But for some reason, there's a barrier in your way. You can't understand why God won't just remove it and let you pass. If you had gone down that path, you would have fallen right in. But from where you're standing, all you can see is the barrier keeping you from what you want. That's often how God works. He sees the whole picture when we can only see a tiny piece of it. Let me tell you about Sarah. She was a bright-eyed college graduate with big dreams of becoming a successful lawyer. She applied to every top law school she could think of, praying fervently for acceptance, but one by one, the rejection letters came in. Sarah was devastated. She couldn't understand why God would close every door she tried to open. In her pain and frustration, she decided to take matters into her own hands. She settled for a lower-ranked school, determined to prove everyone wrong. But law school was a struggle from day one. Sarah found herself drowning in debt, barely passing her classes, and questioning her choice every single day. She had forced her way through a door God had clearly closed, and now she was suffering the consequences. It wasn't until years later, when Sarah stumbled into a nonprofit organization helping victims of human trafficking, that she understood. This was her true calling. All those closed doors? They weren't rejections. They were redirections. You see, sometimes what we perceive as God's no is actually His way. It's His way of saying, I have something better in store for you, but it's not ready yet. And you're not ready for it yet either. But waiting is hard, isn't it? We live in a world of instant gratification. We want everything now, and we struggle to understand why God doesn't operate on our timetable. Here's the thing. God's timing is perfect, even when it doesn't align with our plans. He sees the bigger picture, the intricate tapestry of our lives that we can only glimpse a thread of at a time. Think about a master chef preparing a gourmet meal. If you were to taste each ingredient separately, you might think some of them are bitter or bland or just plain weird. But when they all come together at the right time, in the right proportions, that's when the magic happens. God is that master chef, and your life is His masterpiece. He's carefully combining experiences, relationships, and yes, even disappointments to create something beautiful. But just like a fine wine or a complex dish, some things simply can't be rushed. So how do we wait with faith and spiritual maturity? It's not easy, but it is possible. First, we need to shift our perspective. Instead of seeing waiting as a punishment or a sign of God's indifference, we can choose to see it as a time of preparation. Just as a farmer prepares the soil before planting seeds, God often uses seasons of waiting to prepare our hearts for what's to come. Second, we can use this time to grow closer to God when we're not distracted by getting what we want. we have the opportunity to focus on who God is. We can dive deeper into His Word, spend more time in prayer, and learn to trust Him even when we don't understand His ways. Third, we can practice gratitude. It's easy to focus on what we don't have, but what if we intentionally looked for the blessings in our current situation? Even in seasons of waiting, God is still good and He's still working. Let me share another story with you. This one's about a man named David. Not the David from the Bible, but a modern-day David who dreamed of being a father. David and his wife tried for years to have a baby. They prayed. They sought medical help. They even considered adoption. But nothing seemed to work. With each passing year, their hope dimmed a little more. It would have been easy for David to become bitter, to shake his fist at God and demand answers, but instead, he chose to trust. He poured himself into mentoring young men at his church, channeling his fatherly instincts into these relationships. And then, after a decade of waiting, something miraculous happened. David and his wife welcomed not one, but two beautiful twin girls into the world. But that's not even the most amazing part. You see, during those years of waiting, David had gained invaluable experience mentoring young people. He had developed patience, wisdom, and a deep well of love that made him an incredible father to his daughters. What had seemed like a cruel no from God was actually a wait that prepared David for the greatest adventure of his life. If you're in a season of silence right now, I want you to hear this. You are not forgotten. God sees you. He hears you, and He is working even when you can't see it. Your unanswered prayer might be protecting you from something you can't see. It might be redirecting you to something far better than you could have imagined. Or it might simply be God's way of drawing you closer to Him. His silence is not absence. It's an invitation to trust Him more deeply, to lean into His love, even when you don't understand His way. If your soul is tired, but your faith still flickers, I want to encourage you to subscribe to our channel. We're not here to preach at you or give you easy answers. We're here to walk alongside you through real pain with real hope. And if you've ever felt like giving up, I want you to stay with me for just a moment longer. Because here's the truth. The God who created the universe, who set the stars in the sky and knows you by name, that God has not forgotten you. He has not abandoned you. And He is not finished with your story. Your no might just be a not yet. Your unanswered prayer might be the very thing that's preparing you for a blessing beyond your wildest dreams. So hold on, keep praying, keep trusting. And remember, even in the silence, God is speaking. Sometimes we just need to learn how to listen. You are loved. You are seen. And your breakthrough might be just around the corner.